Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Paul from Prior Witness. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day today. So you just heard some noodling going on there. That was the Paisley Deluxe. This is why you should consider it. Even if you're a hard rock or a metal player, I had to do this because I bought this about a month ago and I've been messing around with it a lot. And, you know, every video out there is like, oh, it does country great. Well, of course it does country great, but it also does rock and roll. It does hard rock, and dare I say, it can add some little spice, some little juice to your metal playing as well. That was a dual rectifier that you heard on channel 2 as well as on channel 1. And I'll have the, if I didn't do it already while I was noodling, I'll post the settings of all the channels that I had. But also here down below, you'll see the Paisley on the other camera there, looking over it below. So I just want to take you through this real quick. I wanted you to hear it first. If you're like me, you might have already switched off the video. That's okay, I get it. But if you want to hear a little bit more, just stick around. So you've already heard what it sounds like. So the left-hand side is one circuit, and on the right-hand side is another circuit. It's actually comprised of two separate circuits. So if you're super curious, you can do some research, but I'll give you the gist of it. The left-hand side is the Paisley drive itself, okay? And on the right-hand side is something called the Wampler Underdog. So what in the heck are those two things, if you're curious? Well, they're both kind of two screamer stylish circuits, if you will. But before that turns you off, if you're looking for something a little bit different, because for me, the reason why I bought this, I wanted something different than what I already had from the TS9. I wanted something a little bit more, dare I say, cliched, transparent, if you will, right? Something like a Klon or maybe even a Blues Breaker is what I was looking for. But I didn't want that particular circuit because I'm weird. I wanted to get something that was someone else's take. So I was looking into the boutique stuff. You know, I was looking at Walrus, I was looking at Wampler, I was looking at JHS, I was looking at all those companies, right? Even the Chinese knockoffs. I wanted to see what they had to offer too. But I came to this one because the two circuits are very, very unique in my opinion. So on the left-hand side, as you see down there below, you've got the Paisley drive, which is a hybrid solution, if you will, of a take on an old train wreck train wreck amp, and an 808. He's kind of like combined the two. The right-hand side has, as you can see, 5 knobs. That does a lot there. That gives me more of that Marshall-ish style tone. If you crank that gain up a little bit, it starts to turn a little fuzzy. In a good way. It gives you kind of this fuzzish style tone, which is really unique. I think I love fuzz pedals, and that kind of gets me into that weird, like you're just starting to get on the edge of that breakup between, is it overdrive or is it fuzz? And it does that on that circuit. And that one is the Underdog. It's a take on an old, I have it written down over here, an ODRS from Nobles. But again, it's not a direct clone of that circuit. It is Wampler's take on it, so it is going to be a little slightly different. If you direct your attention down here, you'll notice on the screen here, and hopefully my voice doesn't cut out, but there's 2 switches. There's one on the left over there, and then there's one on the right. And what that does, it changes the, it like scoops it a little bit. So right now, that's pressed in. Oh, excuse me, it's pressed out. We'll press it in now. By the way, I'm playing on my bridge pickup on my PRS. Slightly different. But then you combine that by pushing the Mesa here, the dual rectifier. So you get kind of a unique sound there. Depressed. So already, as I press a bunch of buttons down here, already you can hear a kind of a difference. There's a bit of a difference there in the mids there. Let's do the Marshall side. Well, I call it the Marshall side. This is the ODR S1. press that switch. So now it's actually out now. On the neck pickup, let's do that real quick. And that's why I compared it to the Vox there, because it breaks up very easily, and you can dial down the tone, and it reacts more like a real amp, which is one of the reasons why Mr. Paisley wanted this drive circuit created. He wanted something that reacted a lot more like an amp, and it certainly does. And so to me, I've just added a bunch of functionality to my Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier. So if you're someone like me who has an amp that's more high gain-ish, and you want more of that rock tone that's similar to that of something you might find in a Marshall or a Vox, something in that vein, this pedal will do that job. If you've got just a perfectly clean amp and you just want to add some grit to it, this pedal will do that. This thing is super versatile. If you look down here too with me, I'll go over some of the other features real quick that I really enjoy, I really like. There's some flexibility here. So if you look on the left-hand side and the right-hand side up on the top, you'll notice there's these letters here, C1 and C2. Don't let those confuse you. Those are ins and outs, because this is essentially two overdrives encased in one box. That's what it is. It's not like combined together or anything. It is literally two separate overdrives compacted into one pedal. So you can take one of your cables going in and then have it going out. You could have two separate ins and outs if you wanted to. If you're really super fancy and you got one of those, super expensive switchers, you can have that switcher select different overdrive circuits in that thing if you want, and keep them completely separate. There is a switch there, if you notice there, that details, I have it currently toggled to the left. It's in the center of the pedal. What that does is that tells the pedal whether or not you want to treat them as completely two separate circuits and have them go two different ins and two different outs, or if you want one stacking into the other. I've got it so that it's stacked, one going into the other. So right now I have it going from the blue side going in to this red side here. And what that does is that essentially makes it so that I've got the lighter overdrive going into the heavier overdrive. That's how I have it set up right now. I have a little bit more gain going on that second channel. So if I really want to push things, I can do that. And the red side cleans up pretty nicely as well. So I essentially now have a bunch of different amps at my disposal, and it's not multi-effects, it's all analog, which is something else I was looking forward to. One of the nice things about multi-effects pedals, and it's probably why you're on my channel if you're still watching, probably got here because I primarily focused on the head rush at one time. But I wanted to move away from the multi-effects for a little bit. I might go back, or I might have it as a second solution. But for right now, this Paisley gives me really a plethora of amps at my disposal. So now I have the Mesa Boogie, which has a clean side, and it has all your high gain stuff. This Paisley gives me all that stuff that's in the middle, all that rock stuff in the middle. It gives me a Vox style, it gets me that Marshall style, gets me all of that, all in one pedal. Very nice. And if I want to decide to do some gigging with some country bands in the local area, well, now I have that available to me, and I can do that, which is really neat. Or I can, make some songs that implement some of that stuff into it, which I'm currently working on. So should be cool stuff. Well, what do you think of the Paisley Overdrive? You're still with me. I appreciate it. I know this has been kind of a long one, but thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Hope you learned something about the Paisley overdrive. Hopefully it's on your radar now. Give it a shot. I highly recommend it. They can be had used out there for roughly around $200. I don't think that's a bad deal at all, considering that you're essentially getting two overdrives in one, and considering the prices of overdrives these days. If you want a really good one, yeah, you're paying over $100 for one. But this can be had for, you know, the price of what, a few cups of coffee, as as someone else that I watch quite regularly jokes. Anyway, hopefully you learned something. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Rock on.